I remember right.
Yeah.
It was in.
Okay. I'm calling to order the Eureka Springs Hospital Commission's regular meeting that has been rescheduled from February 15th to today, February 23rd, 2021 at 6:02 p.m. We'll take a roll call. I am present. Ty Burden, Chair.
Michael Mary, member.
Kent Turner, Treasurer.
Angie Shaw, Interim CEO.
Brent C., CPA.
Leva Murphy, member.
Barbara Dix, Vice Chair.
Okay, very good. I will have two agenda changes. We need to add to the agenda an item concerning the physical therapy clinic and the physical therapy clinic's lease. We also need to add a discussion and possible action on the posterior hospital ramp in order to replace that ramp. And let's go ahead and add those after the CFO report. So between 9 and 10. Okay. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes for the regular meeting on January 19th, 2021?
Yes.
If so, may I have a motion to accept the minutes as written?
I make a motion to accept minutes as written.
Second.
All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, so we'll accept the minutes as written from January 19th, 2021. We take this time to offer public comment if we have anybody from the public who would like to make a comment. We do see that the press is here tonight, Samantha, and there's no public present. Okay, so with that, we will move into the treasurer's report.
You have in front of you the sheet that summarizes the cash and bank report. Checking account at 12/31/2020, we had $17,639.01. We had one check written. That was for $600 for Wendell Associates for the annual audit. That left us with a balance at 1/31/2021 of $17,039.01. The money market had interest of $408.14, which brings that to a balance of $1,201,790.18. The CD account got its quarterly interest, so it was $2,185.59, which leaves a balance in the CD of $431,448.34. And I have a copy for the press if they need this.
Does anyone have any questions or discussion?
I have
of the
a quick
treasurer?
question to the treasurer. Do you by any chance have any idea what our interest rate is on our money market?
I do not, but I'll bet it's nothing.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing here.
Because
Okay.
I haven't specifically looked at that, but it's probably 1% or less.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that we could negotiate for a more reasonable interest rate at this point, or is the national number just too low?
My personal opinion is we probably should wait about 60 days, see what the market's doing, and then try it then.
Okay,
because
thank you.
There's no incentive to move at this point.
I see.
They
Looks
are,
like it's about 0.4%.
Yeah.
never mind.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion on the treasurer's report? If not, we'll move on to the committee report and reports. And I think I'll go first tonight, so I don't forget myself after all the reports are done. So the Quad C committee has met almost every week. We didn't meet last week because of the snow, but we've been working on things in Quad C, including the setting up the MedHost training, which I think Kent will talk more about how that's going. That was successful in getting that set up. We've talked some about getting quotes for the loading dock and ramp, which we will be talking about in another agenda item. We've also been working with the various grants, and we had a discussion of the more recent SHIP grant and how that money could be used. Our Cepheid update is that we did receive 40 kits. Angie may be going into this in more detail, but so we are almost up and running with the Cepheid. We just need the validation kits, and we should be up and running on that. We also used the committee to discuss a vaccine clinic and initiating, getting a vaccine out. And that's been quite successful. We've also discussed cost report time tracking that we have set an action plan to accomplish before March 31st. We've also had various discussions about a possible new logo. That is not at the point where it's ready to be brought before the commission, but it's getting very close. And with that discussion, we'll also go new signage discussion that may be presented before the commission before very long. Swing bed program, I think, Angie, are you going to talk? Okay, I'll leave that for you. And then our compliance quality satisfaction surveys have still been very good. They range in the 90% range. And as far as I'm aware, there was just one complaint, which was basically a miscommunication. So that is my committee's report. Do you have a report for finance?
I do. The report centers around the training. We completed day 3 today, and I've been in every one of them with the exception of about 20 minutes yesterday afternoon because I had to leave to go to another meeting. The training itself has been good, I think. It's been helpful. It's certainly enlightened me. The biggest problem I see, and I'm going to, between now and the next commission meeting, I will be meeting with Brent and Bria and keep forgetting the IT guy's name.
Drew?
Drew. I'm going to try to set up a meeting with Bria and Drew at the same time because I think we could ultimately get there with this system, but I'll be honest with you, I don't believe that we can do it with existing staff. I don't think it's fair to existing staff, first of all, to even attempt to do that. Bringing up, we literally have to bring up an entire general ledger. That's not a simple thing to do. And to give you an idea of how complex it is, this particular system has a 1,200-page chart of accounts.
Wow.
And we don't use near all of those, but the thing of it is this is quite a complex undertaking. And normally when you would do something like this in an organization, you would have directed forces, not necessarily hire people, but you might hire a consulting company to help you do it because people that do this on a day in and day out basis, and that's all they have to do. My fear is we'll get so focused on trying to get the general ledger up that we'll let the other stuff go. And that would be a real mistake. That, in my opinion, that would be a real mistake. But I want to get Drew's input on that. I want to get Bria's input on that. And just from what I'm hearing and given the complexity, this is not a new system. This is not like what you see on your laptops or on your computers. It was developed in 1989. It's a SQL Server system being run on an AS400. It is antiquated. I mean, and it's not that it won't do the job, but it is just much more complex than people are used to seeing.
Okay.
And how that interfaces with patient records and how the general ledger interfaces with patient records and how it interfaces with accounts payable creates some real concerns. And please don't anybody misunderstand. I think our staff has done a fantastic job. But in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be fair to them to try to say, you got to do this, because we're talking lots of hours of work.
So are you talking about a IT-oriented person or a financial-oriented?
There are consulting groups. Okay, XYZ Corporation does this. They hire a consulting company that the consultants are both, they're familiar with the industry that they're working in, and they're also they're accountants. The technical aspects of this have been done, and we're getting the technical problems that we're having fixed this week.
Okay.
So we're having things that we didn't have access to or we couldn't do and didn't have. For instance, all systems have a test environment for general ledger. Allegiance sent us this without a test environment. In my opinion, you've got to have a test environment.
Right.
And because you need to know what's going to happen when you do something before you actually put it in the live data. So they're kind of a mixture of both. They have some IT background, but they're pretty strong in accounting too. They know what general ledger and what entries mean and how they impact each other and all of that. It shouldn't be a problem to find somebody. I can't imagine with a university as close as we've got it. The problem will be cost, and I think that's where we get into an evaluation of whether or not, I think we got to do, based upon what I've seen, we've probably got to go ahead and complete this now, even before we'd consider going to a new system, because we wouldn't have any idea what we're changing to.
Okay, okay.
So that's,
Agree.
And let me get this clarified a little bit. Are you looking more at a consultant group that would come in temporarily, or more of a full-time employee that would stay on?
I'm looking temporary,
Temporary.
okay? I'm looking very, very temporary, because that's what they do. They come in and they do this, they're dedicated, they're focused, they do this stuff fast.
Okay,
I mean, I'm not inclined to, no offense against him, but I'm not inclined to pay his fees to have him do that, okay?
Yeah.
Okay? Because I think he's doing a great job. But you could hire people under a turnkey contract, and they're normally younger, they've been working, that's before they actually get out in the real world, but this is how they build their experience. They do what we got stolen from us. They've become superstars in this, in conversions and stuff like that, and they know how to do them. They do one right after another, right after another, right after another. And I,
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that's kind of where my focus has been this week. I'm certainly glad that I set in on this, because it gives me, we are much further behind than I thought we were, from a general ledger, from an accounting standpoint. We're much further behind than I thought.
Well, we really appreciate you volunteering all of your time to do that as well. That's very
Makes it
greatly
easier for me to
appreciated.
understand.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I don't believe Jean is with us on Zoom, so we will skip the operations report. Michael, did you have anything on the marketing?
Well, just briefly to say that Catherine and I are discussing presentations for groups like the Rotary Club, and trying to put together a series of introductions to the hospital and presentation form. We are also still looking into employee benefit packages with bonus tickets to different groups, different issues.
Okay.
And we were also discussing the same issue about the signage and the new logo and what have you. And
excellent.
Are we being redundant in this with you and your?
Possibly, and with Catherine, yeah, it seems like that would fall under your committee much better if you want to just go and take that signage and logo. I think that would be great.
I think Catherine has some work done on it so far, so I'll do just that.
Okay,
And that's all I have to say for the evening.
okay, very good. Thank you so much. Let's see. So next, we're ready for the CEO report.
Okay. Well, I just have a few things to discuss. I know you brought up the fact that we are currently working on an operating budget. Brent put a rough draft together, so we're still going through that to kind of finalize it. It'll be for the remainder of the year. There's a few areas that definitely need to be finalized, such as payroll. Right now we have some open positions that aren't counted in on that rough draft, so we have to look at estimates on what that missing payroll will be for the remainder of the year once we get it filled. It's definitely a work in progress. It's something that has been needed to be put in place for quite a while. As you all know, it's hard to operate any type of business without a budget, so. We're also looking at capital
I'm
expenditures.
going to interrupt for 1 second. I just got a note from Jean. She's trying to get in, and she's having problems getting in.
Okay.
Ron?
Ron, do you see Jean trying to get in now on Zoom?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I did not set the meeting up. Kim did. I can look
Okay.
and see if, double check the login or the
Okay.
meeting ID or whatever.
Okay.
It'll take me a minute.
I'm sorry, Angie.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Okay.
You want to give her a second to see if she can get on, or you want me to go on forward?
Go ahead. I think she's primarily wanting to get on during the executive session. So.
Okay. As I said, we're currently looking at capital expenditures for each department for the remainder of 2021. I've seen several of the departments send in their wants and needs. I feel at this point in time the area that we need to focus on would be the maintenance department. There's definitely, that definitely has our largest needs. Unfortunately, previous management companies kind of ignored that part of the hospital, and we need to make it our number one priority. I'm talking, you know, updating patient rooms that need to be done, of course, the ramp, which I know we're going to talk about later, and just in general, you know, kind of give it a little bit of a facelift. You touched on the Cepheid machine. We do have the kits in. We're currently waiting on the validation kits. I believe we have to do 10 of those before it'll be up and running. So hopefully those will come in soon. I did submit for the trauma grant for the upcoming year, so that will go in effect on July 2021. Their fiscal year for the trauma is July to June, so that'll be $40,000. This year, $25,000 is for ED needs, and the remaining allotment of $15,000 is going to be for trauma-related education for staff. That's what they're wanting us to do this year, so that's what we will do. Swing bed, we did promote one of our RNs to case manager, swing bed director. Our last swing bed director, Rob, left the facility. He went back to Missouri to be closer to family. Darla has been with the hospital for 10 years, new to the position, but she's stepped in on February 1 and is doing well. Our swing bed census has increased already over the past few weeks. I think currently we have 4 swing bed patients in, and honestly, we haven't had 4 at the same time in a really long time. So,
Yeah, that's excellent.
so I think she's taken the bull by the horns, and it's going to continue trending with this. Regarding vaccines, as you know, we've been trying to get them in for some time, and actually for the month of February, we've been able to get in Moderna, and we've given 111 doses since we got them in February. I think it started February 4th with vaccines, so that's good. We're scheduled to hold a clinic tomorrow, the 24th. I believe we have 50 patients scheduled then, and as well as Friday the 26th, we have 50 patients scheduled, so.
Oh,
And we've been contacted about receiving more vaccine from an area hospital, so I'm following up on that to see if we can get more in for our community. And just so you know, we do have the monoclonal antibody infusions in-house now, so we can do that in our facility as outpatient treatment. That helps if you have mild to moderate symptoms, you know, it helps you keep from getting more serious symptoms. There's a few stipulations for it. You have to have tested positive within 10 days. And right now, they're only doing it for age 65 and older, or 55 and older with high-risk conditions such as diabetes, heart disease. So, some of the new things that are coming into the facility. I know we have not given an infusion of it as of yet, but our local physicians have been notified, so hopefully we'll be able to start giving some of those doses and helping people.
great.
And I think that's all I have for now. We'll talk about the rest on the later agenda items.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Angie. Does anybody have any questions or discussion for Angie?
I heard the governor released 65 and older today. so
Yes, he did,
correct.
at 1:30. 65 and older, he did not release any more of the 1B or open it up for more patients in the 1B, but he did lower the age, so
Right.
that's good. I know we have quite a list growing, and I know the community as a whole has quite a need still.
Yeah, and just as a comment, the hospital immediately after he made that announcement opened up our window to the 65 and scheduled several of patients even from the time that he said that to now. So
Good.
very responsive. In Holiday Island, for example, I believe the median age is 65. So, you know, theoretically about half of the population would now be eligible. And I believe it's 55 in Eureka. So once again, there's going to be a lot more eligible. So it's good that the vaccine's starting to come in higher and higher numbers, and we're having a lot of success with that. So that's great. Anything else from anyone for Angie? Okay, then we'll move on to Brent with the CFO report.
Yeah, so you have a financial package there in front of you. These are just some select pages from what was sent to you a little over a week ago. So if you could go to page 2, and let's look at January and the results. First, the good news, top line, total income was up 9% from December, 494,653 versus 454 in December. Then the challenges on the expense side. Expenses were actually up 17% when you compare to December. But there are some reasons for that. There are quite a few annual charges that hit in January that are just once-a-year charges. So I'll walk you through a few of those. So if you go down to assessment fee expense, that is a hospital assessment fee that's paid to the Arkansas Department of Human Services. So that was $18,506. If you go down to dues and subscriptions, there's a $13,500 charge for the Arkansas Hospital Association in that number. If you then go down to insurance, $14,400 of that is property insurance that was paid to the city. And then there was also $21,000 to Municipal Health Benefit Fund. Go down a little further to the CPAs and management expense. And that was inflated just because of a timing with 2 of the Alliance $25,000 payments hitting in January, one at the very beginning of the month and one at the end. So that was nothing other than timing. The only other one I'll highlight is just repairs and maintenance were up a little bit. There was a $10,800 payment to Island Airco on that. So if you take all those into account, actually, we were pretty well in line with December. Okay, go to the next page. And I apologize for the lack of color there when these were printed out. But this is the graph that we've been showing for the last couple of months. The top line, the darker line, is the disbursements line. So you can see November we actually were cash flow positive for the first time. We've gone back to being slightly negative, but still holding close to the receipts line. So slight negative cash flow the last 2 months. The next page are the cash balances. Because of the negative cash flow, our cash balances are down 9.2%. In January 31st compared to December 31st. And then the last slide, this is the billings by month. Now that we've got a full year of data, we can now start comparing to last year. So you see in January, it was actually down. So we've been trending up quite a bit, and I talked about this last month. We hit a low point in May of $550,000 billed. And that grew up to $1.2 million in December. That fell back down in January to right at $730,000. So it's up 5.1% from January of last year, but down 42.7% from that high that we had in December. So any questions?
So the $50,000 that went to Alliance, as I understand it, our last payment to them should be on March 1st of the $25,000, and then that expense should go away, correct?
Correct.
Okay, very good. And then it looks like we had an unusually high amount of annual fees since it was January.
Yes.
Correct, okay. Did you want to talk anything about the budget that was set up in response to some of the expenditures on the January report?
Yeah, so we are working on setting up budgets for this year. We're just kind of getting started with that, so I'm working with Angie to go through that process. We're also, in addition to a P&L budget, we're also trying to get set up our capital expenditures budget as well. so that we can understand our capital needs for the year. And, and then as things come for being spent, we'll have a budget that if we have the budget for it, then it gets spent. If not, then it would have to come for approval.
Okay.
So we'll get that process in place.
Do you have a rough estimate for the P&L budget of a monthly expenditure to target for?
Angie and I haven't talked about timing, but I think it'll take the two of us kind of driving that to get that pushed forward. But I don't know, Angie, if you've got any thoughts on timing.
Yeah, I've been looking at different amounts and over the past months, expenditures probably around 600,000 a month for expenses, taking in payroll and everything, but I don't know if
Okay.
that's where we are.
Okay.
Jean, ask again.
Oh, she's still not able to get on.
We could offer her
I
the,
think the link is going to work. You're probably going to put them on speakerphone.
okay.
I just tried to use that link from another computer.
You-
I wasn't able to.
You want me to-
I'm very low on battery.
I've got 50%. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Where's your number? Hey, Gene, for some reason, the link is not working, so I'm going to just put you on my speakerphone, so you'll just get to listen. We won't get to see your face, but you're here, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Jean Reed, one of the commissioners, and the secretary is now present on the phone. Okay, well, was there any more discussion or questions for Brent before we move on? No. Okay. So next, I had an agenda, no, actually, we added the agenda item about the lease for the physical therapy clinic. Kent, would you like to do this item? You had some information for us on this?
Sure, this is a lease for that clinic that expires on February 28th. All this is it's not a new lease, all this is a renewal. The rent remains the same at $1,200 per month, and it's just a very short renewal. So it's with the Walden group here in town.
Okay. So this is basically just to extend a lease that we've had for years. Could I get a motion that we would desire to extend that lease for what term is this?
1 year.
For another 1-year term?
I'll make a motion to extend the Walden Group lease for the facility for Unit 1 at Walden Plaza for $1,200 a month, beginning February 1st, 2021, and extending through February 28th, 2022.
I'll second.
Okay. All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All of those opposed? The ayes have it, so the motion goes forth. Now we'll move on to discussion of the hospital ramp and its replacement. Angie, would you like to present a little bit on the condition of the hospital ramp and why it needs to be replaced, and then the cost value, the cost of the 3 quotes that we've received?
Yes. So we have a concrete ramp that is on the back side of the hospital. It serves purposes for deliveries, as well as it is right there next to the helipad. That's how we take patients out of the hospital and get them on the helicopter and get them transferred out. These last few years have been pretty brutal on it. The concrete is starting to break away. From my understanding, it was built in the 70s. It's lasted quite a bit, but it's definitely starting to deteriorate. There's large especially after this last bit of snow, it's definitely got some more crumbling. The salt is just eating away at the concrete at this point. They braced it a few years with wood pillars, and it's just not going to last. At this point, I'm worried about it withstanding holding gurneys to take patients out to the helipad. I had Becky, our maintenance director, call out for 3 quotes. She spoke with several different companies. 2 of the quotes were pretty close to $50,000 for the repair, and they were companies out of, I believe, Missouri and then over in Fayetteville area. And then she also spoke with a local company out of Berryville, and they quoted $18,100, which is obviously the best quote that we got, and that includes taking down the old ramp and the columns and doing all the discarding of that material. They will build it back up with concrete columns. They will plan to widen the ramp by 2 feet, which would be wonderful because our gurneys have gotten bigger over the years. Right now we have a cinder block landing or platform that is at the door, and they will go through and replace that as well and repair it because it is also crumbling. Let's see. They will meet all the OSHA requirements and the slope. They know that currently, as it sets, it is a bit too steep, so they will take that grade down to, I think, an 8% slope is what's required. I believe they will plan on putting metal decking underneath the ramp as he pours the concrete, just for added strength, because he knows what he's going to be used for. When we first looked at these quotes, we were looking at different things, whether, to replace the ramp, look at loading docks, something that would be easier to lift up the patients. And the loading docks are, of course, you're looking at close to $50,000. And that's, it's $32,000 for the dock, and then that wasn't even including any of the concrete work. So I think, honestly, the ramp is going to be the way to go this time.
So it's your opinion that we should make a motion to approve the replacement of the ramp for $18,100?
I would, yes.
Okay. Would somebody like to make that motion?
I make a motion that we improve the ramp for the bid of $18,190 with all the specifications that Angie related to us.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion of the ramp?
Just real quick, Angie, would you cover again the predominant difference between the 18 and 50,000 quote?
Really the only difference that Becky told me was that they were just different companies from different facilities. They all were going to do the exact same thing.
And one company is coming in at 40%, everybody else?
Yeah.
So are y'all able to hear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Jean.
Yeah, just wondering about warranty on the work. If they'll give us some assurance that it'll last, whatever their standard.
Right.
warranty is.
I know that Becky said that he would, of course, treat the concrete where I don't think it honestly had ever been treated before to prolong its life. And then, of course, after that initial treatment, our maintenance department would have to continue treating yearly to protect the concrete.
Okay.
As far as a guarantee, I would have to talk to Becky because she did not give me any of that information in this packet.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that I would think that hopefully they would have the standard warranty for their work.
Right. Yeah, I will verify that with her as well tomorrow morning, but
Okay.
Is there any other discussion?
So all of the staff believes that this is the best way to go at this point, as opposed to, even though the other things are higher?
yeah.
Okay.
Seeing as there's no more discussion, all of those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All of those opposed? So the motion carries, and we'll approve the ramp, and Angie, you'll let Becky know to go forward and get this replaced as soon as possible? Okay, the next one is an item I put on there to just establish the commission's relationship with Mitchell Williams Law Firm in Little Rock. I received this email. I will read the first paragraph for you. This will inform previous telephone discussions wherein you have expressed your desire for Mitchell Williams to provide legal counsel to the Eureka Springs Hospital Commission with respect to general health care issues. Under this agreement, we will provide general legal advice regarding health, employment, and contract law. And I would just like to get a motion saying that we want to continue our relationship with the current law firm that we've been using, Mitchell Williams in Little Rock.
I'll make the motion.
And I'll
Okay.
second.
Second? Okay. Is there any discussion?
So we've been using them for several years now?
Yes, and I think everyone's been quite happy with their services and very happy at times, so. Okay. All of those in favor of the current motion?
Aye.
All of those opposed? Okay, the ayes have it, so the motion carries. All right. So now we will go into executive session once again for the sole reason of discussing our CEO applicants and where we are in that process. We will come out of executive session with an action, if necessary, immediately following the executive session. Yeah, for this part. Oh, yeah. Are we ready, Ron?
Hang on, we're going,
We're going. So we're coming out of executive session, going back into our regular meeting. After a lengthy discussion, we are taking one action of eliminating one of the CEO candidates. The agreement on this was 4 out of 5 voting commissioners. And so that's the only action we're taking on that tonight. So now we come to commissioner comments. Kent, do you have a comment?
I have none.
Michael?
No.
Leva? Okay.
Gene?
I'll make a comment.
Gene, do you have a
Oh,
comment?
I'm sorry. Gene, do you have a comment?
And since I was secretary, I presume somebody's taken the meeting minutes since I wasn't
I
there.
thought you were.
Leva is.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to make a comment that, and a thank you to all of the staff and all of the resources in the community that have helped us with the recent vaccination clinics for the COVID-19 virus. This has been very well received. Staff have went outside of their job description on many different instances in order to help us with the vaccination clinic. It's been a success. It's continuing to be a success, and I want to thank you to all of those staff and everyone for that. Also, just want to say that this has been a great opportunity for us to get to know the community and to let the hospital know that this is their hospital, the community's hospital, and that we look forward to working with them in the future. And with that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All of those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. We're adjourned.
Thanks, Gene. Sorry I couldn't hear it.